some of the things that people need to bear in mind, given the sensitivity of that document, just to make sure that even as it is prepared, finalized, that there's also that end perspective in mind, that where will it be stored, and then in the event of my demise, how will things flow naturally?
Okay.
Yes, just the mechanics of that. Yeah.
You have rightly said that the purpose of the will is you have an end in mind, and the end is that upon my demise, I expect that my will be read and the wishes therein are going to be executed by the person that I have appointed. So the most prudent thing, of course, will be that you leave the will with someone who knows that there is a will relating to your property, so that after your demise, the person who is left with the will is able then to alert your family or the people who are going to benefit under the will and just read it to them and make your wishes known. So in many cases, this is usually the advocate. This is where the advocate comes in. Of course, even aside from assisting the person who's preparing the will to prepare the will, it is just in storage and making sure that it is kept safe.
Okay, all right, wonderful. Mrs. Mbugua, in recent times, the term estate planning has been used. It seems a bit of a big word, and might actually be misinterpreted to mean that you're building an estate and you're just carrying out the spatial planning. But in terms of succession, what does estate planning, what is it about, and what does it do for you?
Okay, you start with the acknowledgement that there's something to safeguard. And that thing could be big, it could be small. Even big establishments have grown from small enterprises. We talk about this especially when we think about something like family-owned business, the issue of handover from first generation to the second generation. It's about smooth running, setting up systems that will kick in, or which we actually operationalize when the owner of the estate is alive. It's about bringing in the people you want to participate in the estate, like bringing children on board. For companies, it's about issues of managing the shareholding, the directorship, vision carrying, who can carry this vision, who can grow the business. So we need to think about estate planning because we have seen a lot of failure. Okay. Especially movement from first generation to the second generation. So it's about estate planning is not just in family-owned businesses. It could be even in other institutions or establishments. It's thinking ahead, not leaving things to chance. Yes, they say if you don't plan, you plan failure.
If you fail to plan, you're planning to fail.
You're planning to fail.
So what you're saying is that estate planning, a will is one of the elements, but there is much more, especially as you've highlighted in the family-owned businesses scenarios.
Yes, will is just one way you can plan your estate. You could also do a trusts, especially for people with big, vast estates, where you feel you do not want the beneficiaries to be on the front line managing the assets. You want to keep the corporate look as the beneficiaries also get the benefits from the estate. So you could set up a trusts. But it could also be giving properties intestate, because especially if you look at your situation and you can see it's very volatile. Some people actually give gifts in their lifetime. Are you planning an estate? It doesn't look like, but at least you are managing your beneficiaries. But that is an option that should be considered, especially where you can see potential of serious disputes. Yeah, there are managers you can appoint also, like for companies. Again, putting them in the front line in terms of management and leadership in the establishment, and the beneficiary is a little bit behind, where they do not interfere with the day-to-day operations. But the beneficiaries, if they qualify, could actually be the ones in the forefront. We look at professionalism, and we look at the capabilities, we look at the ability of a person to grow. There are many things you'd factor there.
Right. Excellent. Yeah. Cynthia, any closing remarks regarding this topic as far as succession goes?
I think, like we have rightly said, Talking about death is very daunting, especially in our culture. Some people say that it is like inviting death, but like Mrs. Mbugua has rightly said, it is very important for us to be forward-looking and to know that, of course, death is inevitable, and preparing wills and just estate planning is a way of ensuring that the people that you love are cared for when you are gone.
Excellent, excellent. Mrs. Mbugua, any closing remarks?
I think you had asked a question of what should be inherited or what can be passed on. Let me say what should not be passed on. Do not pass your fights to your children. There are some people, as they die, they say, I have a case against your uncle. You make sure you win. Of course, there is the issue of debts. It would be nice if you leave your people without many debts. So try and minimize your debts in your lifetime. But wife, in African setup, we used to talk about wife inheritance. That's not, I'm talking about the things that should not. They are not.
Okay.
Yeah, they are not to be inherited. Let me end this, that was on a light note. Yeah. Let me end this with caution about discrimination when you are dividing your assets on gender lines or financial abilities. You'll be gone, you will leave your children fighting. So it is good to try and be fair as much as you can. Yes, I warning to the people who leave assets to those named after them. That is another form of discrimination, very common in some communities. I think it's a very dangerous thing because the grandchildren who are not named after you are left feeling discriminated. There is also the category of people when they do their will, they tie things so tight. So they go against the laws against perpetuities. You know, you want to keep your people together and you want it to run from generation to generation. I think we need to realize things may not be as they are when we are gone and wrangles could come. I think it's very important to create an exit, or when people feel it can't work, to think of dissolving. Otherwise, you have a situation where we can't tell where it ends. And then don't hit back, finally don't hit back at some people. Some people take the will to be my last, missile against my enemies. So you write who shouldn't come for your funeral, who has, you leave people fighting, yet you are gone. I think that we prevail upon people as much as they can to realize they are mortal beings. They will be gone. They will need their they will not need the assets. They are not coming back. So I think it's also good to give some freedom to the people you leave behind to deal with the assets. Should you be aware that you have a situation which is very dicey, like children born outside wedlock, please help us avoid DNA during mourning period. I think people need to cultivate honesty, and people need to make provisions for those people. It is painful, but I think it's better than doing the DNA 11th hour. Yeah.
All right. So be bold. Don't be afraid of considering that death may occur. Be fair. Don't discriminate based on income. Be thoughtful in terms of the decision making and saying that this is what I'm going to do. Be transparent as far as it goes in terms of being clear about these are the people who are there. These are some of the useful thoughts that one would have as far as it goes. All right, thank you very much. Really appreciate. Was a few pointers on succession. Thank you very much.